Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with...
Elizabeth Helly.
And...
Tyler Hamilton.
And we are here diving into a new era. A new Tremors era, you guys. Tremors 5 Bloodlines.
Welcome to all of our new listeners. You can find all of our episodes at sequelrights.com if you want to catch up on Tremors or any of the other series.
Yeah, that's the best place for you to catch up. But tonight, we are in 2015. Tremors 5.
This is 2015.
Now, this is the one that, Eliz, you've seen this already, right?
I saw it when it came out, I guess.
Damn. You were so on top of it.
Yeah, it was like a random night. Like I said, we were doing a jigsaw puzzle and just really needed something on in the background. And so we ended up with this.
Well, for those of you who haven't seen it, you can get a little taste of it right now with the trailer.
We have a situation in Africa.
There's been another attack.
You've got graboids.
Worms.
Sure as hell ain't Mickey Mouse.
From Universal Pictures comes the next chapter in the Tremors saga.
The bitch is back. Load every gun.
Come to Africa. We'll have some laughs, see some game.
Tremors 5 Bloodlines. Own it on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital HD.
I think you'll find this useful.
Where'd you get this?
You don't want to know.
I like your style.
Wow. I feel like we leapt forward about 11 years in filmmaking, having seen this trailer.
And in that 11 years, we elapsed the time where Jamie Kennedy was popular and famous, and then when he wasn't.
Yeah.
And now we're here in 2015.
So, we're talking about the cast right off the bat.
Washed
right?
up on the shores of Hollywood.
We've got Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
He is in this movie.
He starts this movie, but he's peeing off a rock, and then he backflips through the Mojave Desert.
Yep. So he's in the movie playing the role of Travis Welker. Why? What's so funny about that?
He's a camera person.
Yeah, and dirt biker.
Yeah.
Slash NSA agent.
Yeah, he was in the NSA. He was embedded with journalists in Afghanistan.
I'm still not sure if any of that is true.
Yeah, it's unclear. But I mean, he does have some relative skills to camera and outdoor things.
He can hold a camera that's 10 years old.
Yeah. So Jamie Kennedy is the new Grady, basically.
Yep.
That's how I feel about his character.
Yes.
And better than Jamie Kennedy, we got Michael Gross.
Michael Gross is, again, the best part of this movie.
The lone hangover.
Yeah.
From the Stampede era.
So this is a thing that I heard, and it's in the IMDb trivia, so massive grains of salt involved here. But the director of this movie, Don Michael Paul, I believe is his name, or it's three first names.
That's correct.
Had not watched a Tremors movie until they were on set, and Michael Gross was like,
Force him?
"No, dude, like you need to like sit down and watch these." And so I think that, speaking of Michael Gross, the reason I bring that up now is after watching the movies, I believe that little bit of trivia.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that any kind of fun homage or something that calls back to the original films is purely Michael Gross's influence.
Well, also the writer, I forgot which
John
writer.
Wilpley.
Yes,
John
he
Wilpley.
worked on Tremors 3 with
Yes.
the other guys
Yes.
from Stampede. So.
Yeah.
Also, there is this movie has so many filmmaking pretension. There's a lot of hackery in this movie, but my favorite is that it has 5 screenwriters, and one of the screenwriters' name is Woodward Truesmith.
Those are... I'm choking. Those are actually the chosen pseudonyms for the Stampede guys because they retained enough of the story that they had to give them credit, but they didn't. The guys actually didn't want their name on it, so that's one of them. And there's 2 other like
M.A.
weirdo.
Deuce.
There's 2 other weirdo names that they just made up.
That's awesome, then.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I mean, the special features for this, like, there's there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff with Michael Gross, and he says right on there, like, you know, like there'd be tons of times where he'd be reading the script and he's like, no, Bert would never say this.
Yeah.
No, Bert would say this. And
Yeah.
he was like totally rewriting lines on the fly and
Yeah.
stuff. Just to
Well,
be
yeah.
in the voice of Bert.
And that would probably happen in any case,
Yeah.
even if it wasn't new writer and director,
Sure.
because he's been this guy for now 3.5-ish movies and a TV series. That
Right.
had 13 episodes.
It's just
or
extra
whatever.
funny that apparently the director had not even
not
watched
watched
Yeah,
any
for
Tremors.
sure.
a
For
single film in the series he's taking over.
Yeah.
So, but this movie does start off with a rundown of the Tremors' life. It's like so like assuming that you just have not watched the other movies.
Well, also, yeah, like we said, it's been 11 years,
Yep.
so get a little catch up here.
So it starts with a rundown of the graboid life cycle.
Yeah, and it was like I like this opening.
I did too.
It's like an extremely well cut together like YouTube video, basically.
It's like if a bunch of fans drew some art and
Yeah.
they made 2 3D renders and cut together like this is like a fake Discovery Channel documentary about how graboids work. That's exactly what this would look like.
Right. It's Michael Gross's character Bert hosting his own survivalist series.
Yeah, he even has like his own products, like
Bullseye
like
brand.
ranch dressing and
Yeah.
like marinades and stuff
Water
like that.
purifiers.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny. So like he's kind of doing like this Alec Jones like survival type thing. And one of the things he's made an oven to cook a rattlesnake in. And one of the things he says is like, and so that's why we've turned snake into snack in less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which was legitimately funny.
Yeah. And it's during that snake scene that Jamie Kennedy comes up and meets him.
Yeah, Jamie Kennedy, I guess, has finagled some sort of backdoor deal with the existing cameraman to take over for him.
Right next to one of those river/ponds in the Mojave Desert.
Yep. And he just starts right in with the goddamn Gummer puns.
That's
The Gummer puns that I just was
That's
like...
a yummer from Gummer.
Yes,
when he says when he tries.
That's
the
like one of the
snake.
first things he says, and I'm like, no.
It's hard to kind of hear the dialogue in this movie over your heart wilting.
Yeah. There's all sorts of like throughout the movie, he's like, "Hey, what's up, gummy bear?" and like stuff like that, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah, it seems like you guys really didn't like this character of Travis.
I actually,
He's better than Grady.
I agree.
There's more that we can get into.
Okay, yeah, I'll wait before giving my
later.
opinion
But I
on
didn't.
that.
I didn't hate him until I watched some behind the scenes things.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
about
anyways,
those
some
behind the
random rich guy comes up to them and says that there's graboids in South Africa and they need help.
Oh yeah. Before we go too much further, I wanted to also just say thank you to Universal Studios for letting us watch the new Jurassic World movie nice and early. Because I don't know if as we go through this plot, it is basically like Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Oh, and it has direct. This movie has the Frankenstein's monster of lines from different movies.
Yep.
Scenes from different movies.
There's straight up shots from Jurassic Park.
There's just straight up shots from Jurassic Park.
I get that shots. Well, I don't understand how the plot is the same, but
There's like random fossil people.
Yeah,
And there's a whole like
the
rich guy coming to recruit someone.
when the
Yes.
rich guy comes, he gives them the Hammond proposition. He's like, "We'll fully fund your videos."
Yeah, it's like
for the next 2 years.
It's like the same.
It's the
thing.
same.
I guess because the graboids weren't really like man-made in any way.
Right. There's just like a lot of Jurassic Park similarities that I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
There's always been some similarities.
Don John Paul
beyond
wanted
just
to make Jurassic
Ariana
Park.
Richards. There's always
Right,
been like
right,
weird
yeah.
little things, but yeah,
This one feels like it goes
way
really
over the
far,
top,
like
yeah.
far into that. But
Yeah, where it steals exact lines and scenes.
I just thought that was funny.
yeah.
So well, there's a reference to the tax man because I feel like that there's a weird. First of all, I want to talk about something that maybe we don't want to talk about up front, but one of the main fandom's things about around the Tremors franchise and around Bert himself is survivalists and gun aficionados. And what we liked about the first one was talking about how it wasn't cynical. It was Bert with these guys, yes, but like they were these doomsday preppers, but there was a charm to them. And I said that there's something funny about parroting the Alex Jones type right wing doomsday preppers and these type of of guys, and I don't know if the charm has just worn off of the character, or if the point of view of this movie is different, or I just can't tolerate those type of things. But this movie is full cynical, like right-wing gun nut. That's who he is. And I feel like a lot of the charm of that is kind of gone.
Yeah, I didn't find that too much in this movie. I still kind of was like excited to see Bert, and I felt like if I had been watching if I was a fan all along, and like there hadn't been a movie since 2004,
sure,
I probably would have been pretty excited at the time.
Yeah, and people were. I see kind of what you're saying, Tyler. I think with Bert, he does love his guns. He's always loved his guns and his right to have them. And now we kind of have this thing where he doesn't really want to pay taxes either. He didn't like the government coming in that third movie.
Right.
But the thing with him too is like, I think, well, just guessing, I think that Bert would be really in favor of like sensible gun control. It seems like his guns are always very safely, like correctly and by the letter of the law, even though he doesn't like taxes.
I totally agree with it, and the tax thing is the thing that kind of threw me away because like especially with Nevada, like it played into the Clive and Bundy thing a little bit too much for me, and I was just kind of like, ugh.
The one thing is that Bert has, and we have never seen Bert turn a gun on a person,
No.
which in any other action film, who knows?
I think that's a super solid point. But I was like, it was something that I wasn't sure up front if it was kind of changing in the times, or was a point of view, but it was like, especially that tax line. I was like, oh, like,
Yeah. Well, like sometimes characters as they go on start to get like boiled down to their like
absolutely
more basic traits
to the rind.
Yeah. But I wasn't feeling that too much in here. I felt like this is still kind of classic Bert for me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're off to South Africa to get money and to demolish graboids.
Yeah, because we open up with the survivalists thing, but we also saw that there were these two dudes.
Right.
I don't exactly remember what they were doing.
Yeah,
one guy falls into a cave and gets killed by a graboid, or something we think is a graboid.
He sees petroglyphs of graboids
painted
painted inside,
which was pretty interesting. I was like, okay, so they're expanding some lore here,
and just a filmmaker thing. He's being pulled out of the like he's scared in this cave, and his buddy's pulling him out. And then you see a little bit of water dripping off his leg. He's like, "What was that?" And he's like, "I'm peeing." It's like that's how good of a filmmaker Don Michael Paul is.
Okay, that's the pee you're talking about.
Oh, well, and then it immediately cuts to Jamie Kennedy peeing. But when you fact, like it's just like it's not a scared moment. It's not building. He's just like, I'm peeing.
Yeah. He was in shock, man. He was in shock.
Sure. But as a visual storytelling.
Yeah.
And it really starts out, too, that Bert is very insistent that there would be no graboids in Africa, that they are a phenomenon of the Americas.
Well, he says of the northern hemisphere, which I'm pretty sure that Argentina is in the southern hemisphere.
Well, yeah, there's things in this movie where they like miss.
Yeah.
Miss that
I
stuff.
think, I think the point is he thinks they're only on that
they've been contained.
Continents.
He says, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, what happens? I don't even know.
Well, we get when we
he meets the helicopter guy. He's all right.
Yeah. So he's flying in, and I think even before this, we get introduced for basically not much reason at all, these paleontologists that have uncovered.
No, this is one of my favorite things about the movie. It's these sexy paleontologists, right? And then they're at some find or whatever, and they're like, "We're gonna get on the cover of Science magazine."
Yeah, and they're like, "And National Geographic."
No, he's like, "Been there, done that. I want National Geographic."
Yeah, which is kind of like a fun callback to the original film where they're talking about that.
Science magazine.
But they pull back, and you see that they have uncovered this huge graboid that looks bigger than a fossil bigger than anything we've ever seen. And it looks kind of cool, actually.
Sure.
And they do give a little bit of an explanation about how the graboid moves through, or at least how this graboid moves through the dirt.
Magnesium mandibles.
Yeah, and they have some sort of acid that melts the dirt or whatever. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
This is one hell of a digger.
Yeah. But they're like introduced for that, and then they die like right away.
Yeah.
Basically.
In a sexy outdoor shower scene.
Yeah,
That's right.
which is really weird. I mean,
It looks like they're fucking while they're showering. It's hard to know what's happening.
it's like you're getting a little bit of the like Jaws on land thing
Yeah.
because the
Go.
camera, the camera's shaking so much, and they're like, but you can't see like what's
You don't
pulling them
actually see
down
them
or anything.
die.
Yeah, you just see blood.
I mean, of all the things to die while doing, I don't know, whatever.
Shower sex.
Showering behind the curtain.
But anyways, they're dead. We're never going to talk about them again.
So we arrive in South Africa. There's a helicopter, kind of like he's like the Burt Gummer of South Africa, basically. He owns the helicopter. He gives Burt advice and says, "Call me if you need help," kind of thing. They both love guns.
I did like the advice. I thought that the advice was actually like it was played as like this is kind of like a crazy dude with some wisdom. He basically says that like it's
He tells him
animals
like a
and whatever.
proverb.
He basically tells him a proverb. It's basically when the sun's rising in Africa, you better be running.
Yeah.
basically.
Which is kind of a cool
Yeah, it was a cool proverb.
proverb.
Yeah.
But then he leaves, and then Burt gets introduced. Burt and Travis get introduced to everybody working at this wildlife preserve.
So this is confusing. So they're flown there in this helicopter, and they end up at this wildlife preserve that's owned by a veterinarian, female veterinarian.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some twists that come later on, and it's just unclear to me who is paying for what and why.
I think they're just using the nature preserve as a place to stay,
Like
and
a
home
base, yeah.
Right.
They're not involved in the graboid thing at all.
Right.
Just go ahead and say what it is you.
Yeah,
you know.
like so this wildlife guy ends up being evil, right? Like
the Hammond character.
like he's a poacher, and so if it's a wildlife preserve, like wouldn't they know that he's
could be.
he's a poacher?
Yeah.
He pretended to be from some sort of government agency.
And
Right.
to the point where even like his weird mercenary goggle dude had a patch, which I thought was very good planning for them to go ahead and sew a patch for their fake agents.
Well, I don't know that it
God.
was a fake agency or if they were just pretending to
Right.
be part of an
Right.
existing agency. But yeah, we get the preserve where this lady, Dr. Nandi, is in charge, and also we learn that there's a small village nearby
Yes.
that has like kind of a tribal, like they're not like totally like the natives tribal people, but they still have their like tribal traditions.
They have
that we
traditions,
see.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But they're not shown as like, at least
No.
like savages or something like that. So yeah, and Nandi also has a little daughter named Amale.
Who we see working with some sort of weird like electrical device that brings worms up from the ground.
Which was actually pretty cool. Like
I did
she
think
set,
that
like,
was a
electrodes
cool-
into the ground and like
Cool
and
visual, too.
then tricked Jamie Kennedy into eating a worm out
Yeah.
of the ground, which was
That was
He didn't
funny.
take that much convincing though. Like
Yeah.
she was trying to trick him, like, oh, it's a custom that we
Yeah.
eat these worms, and he was like, oh, okay, let me try it, and then he eats it, and he's like, oh, it wasn't a custom.
He's
Like
just-
he didn't
yeah.
even resist. He didn't even say like, oh, really? Really? What kind of custom? Are you sure? He just ate it.
Well, he's just trying to please everyone because he's into her mom or whatever.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So they kind of meet everybody and they decide that they're gonna go.
Check out the site. Of
They're gonna
first
go
attack.
find that cave and try to find what they think is an ass blaster, right? Because someone had said like, oh, there's been an ass blaster sighting in the area.
Yeah.
And so they go to this cave, and the ass blaster attacks Bert and what's his name?
Travis.
I already forgot his name. And we get
Grady.
our first. Yeah. I just meant like he's closest in personality to Grady out of all of the sidekicks.
He absolutely is.
But yeah, we get our first look at the ass blaster, which looks completely different than any ass blaster we saw. Yeah, they show the ass blasters in the beginning of this movie too.
Right.
The original ones from Tremors 2.
These
or
are
Tremors 4.
these are
3.
Africanized ass blasters.
Yeah. And
AABs.
they have crazy like Sarlacc pit like mouths.
Yeah.
And they have like a huge basically rocket ass that like
Yeah,
Well,
they can
and they
fly
o-
a lot better. The
and they
flying
o-
gets better and better every
And
time
they
we
only
see them.
hunt at night like vampires.
yeah, and they have bat wings basically.
Yeah.
They look kind of cool.
They do.
I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
I was not mad at this. I don't know if there's Tremors fans out there that are like, this doesn't make any sense. They're not the same.
Well, then they kind of explain it away. They retcon it later.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they do. Yes. They check that box. Yes.
yeah. So at some point, Jamie Kennedy, Travis, he goes to one of the tribal celebrations with the doctor lady, and you kind of see that basically like the natives are acting, or not the natives, the villagers are acting out this like dance that it looks as if they like their ancestors were subduing a graboid.
Yeah.
And so you kind of like wonder, well, how come nobody brought it up to the villagers?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and like even there's an old man who's like,
know.
he's like, we call ass blasters lightning birds.
Yeah.
So like these villagers pretty much already know everything and how to defeat them, but everyone just ignored them. They're like,
Right.
Let's get
Well,
Bert
what do
from
they know?
America. yeah, what do these people know? They've only been here for hundreds
didn't
of
have
years.
guns.
Of course.
Oh, important point that they couldn't get all of Bert's guns
Right.
into
They got confiscated.
Africa. Yes. So they had to use old-timey safari weapons.
Yeah. Bolt action rifles
Yeah.
and such. Yeah.
So I don't even remember what happens next, but the next day, Bert and Jamie Kennedy are in a fight. So Jamie Kennedy does not go out to the field with Bert, and Bert goes with that guy Van Dyke and what's his face, his assistant, and
Yeah.
they
call him Van Dyck.
Yes, they do. That's so funny. And they get attacked again, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where is this where we learn the like twist reveal that you were mentioning before?
Yes. Yeah.
Where we learn that
Basically,
Van Wyck is trying to sell graboid eggs.
Yeah, because Bert shoots down the ass blaster and then in a fiery explosion kills the other mercenary guy.
Yeah.
For a laugh, for a cheap laugh, basically.
It, like, falls on him or
Yeah,
something?
he
Yeah.
murders a man.
So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, and I did see like some fan posts and articles that were really like, okay, Bert would not be responsible for another human's death
Right,
without at least feeling guilty afterwards.
Right.
Like, of course, he didn't directly kill that guy, but he also didn't say like, oh my God, you
Get
know,
out of
like
the way.
this was my fault, you know,
Yeah.
anything. So a lot of people said that was kind of a turn off for them.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that it's like it's played for a laugh and it's cheap and it's not great.
Yeah.
It's a cool explosion though, and so basically,
So I'm on board. Explosion's great. Murder, whatever.
and as we know, I don't know if at this point they basically just throw it off with a line. They're like, "There's no shriekers."
Yeah,
I
that
guess.
this whole movie, like we see ass blasters, we see graboids. That's it. No mention of shriekers, barely at all.
I mean, which at this point is kind of getting to be the norm because
Yeah.
we didn't have any shriekers in 3 either, and 4.
Well, there were shriekers at the beginning of 3.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but yeah,
But we never saw, we
Yeah,
never
no,
saw
yeah.
them again in
Right,
perfection.
right, yeah.
And,
They're never a big
Bert
part.
says something of like that doesn't make any sense. There's no shriekers.
Yeah.
But that's again, it checks the box of like, we don't have to deal with that.
we mentioned him with
Yeah. So, but the ass blaster has the egg in it, and Bert has it in his hand, and then Van Dyke's like, I'm gonna use that to.
He's like yoink.
Become rich.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sell it on the
Somehow?
black market.
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
Step 1, find graboid eggs. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit.
It's a tale as old as time. That's how, that's how Zuckerberg got started.
Yeah. So Van Wyck like takes the egg and drives off. Right, he goes off on his
Van
own.
Dyke.
I think it says Van Wyck.
Van Dyck.
I was like, I think it says Van Wyck.
I'm gonna go with the Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy says
Yeah.
different every time.
Yeah.
I'm say the Kennedy pronunciation.
Yeah.
So he drives off and then leaves Bert. Bert has this badass line where Van Wyck's like either get in the cage or I'm gonna shoot you in the stomach, and he's like, you can kill me, but you'll never cage me. Cut to Bert in a cage.
Yeah, that was a pretty good line. Like,
He's literally in a cage.
Yeah. and then
because they were going to try to use that cage to capture a graboid or an
right,
ass
yeah.
blaster
Van
alive.
Dyck
Right.
wanted a live graboid, and
Because he was
Bert's
just a
like-
wildlife guy.
yeah, and Bert's just like, you kill these things. You
Yeah.
kill them, I kill.
Yeah.
And then we get a painful
Ugh.
Michael Gross
Yeah.
losing his mind, and where he covers himself in piss.
PC number 2.
Yeah, he's in
Three.
PC number 3.
For some reason, Jamie Kennedy in advance had outfitted the cage with like a GoPro camera.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
linked
who's
it to
filming?
the internet, like satellite, to send him back the
because
images.
He was part of the NSA, is
Yeah.
what he tells
It's like,
him.
who's filming these things?
So,
Because he keeps looking up at a camera like, it's day 53.
It's Michael Gross covering himself in piss, going crazy in a cage. Then they release like a lion that pees on him for some reason.
He's like, ooh, finally shade. And then it's like, wait, what's happening? Rain? No. The lion's just peeing on him.
I felt bad for Michael Gross because it's an embarrassing scene.
yeah, I mean, the only part I liked was when he was like, Heather, if you still have my gun, like, take good care of it or whatever. Like, that was a fun reference.
It was.
It didn't annoy me yet.
But then he was like, I miss it, and you kind of.
Yeah, that was. I did think that was funny. I don't know. I still like that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
The HK-91.
That's right. An important gun.
Yeah.
So Travis eventually comes and rescues him, like after a day, right? Or
Right.
something. And so they.
But Travis seems to think that he did a very good job. Of like he's like, yeah, I knew, like I figured out he was bad. Like,
Yeah. I knew the whole time.
Like, it's not that he had been like, I had a camera on you the whole time. Like I was the NSA. I
Yeah, why
know.
didn't he come faster? if
Yeah,
he had
no,
a camera on him the whole
absolutely.
time?
Like why was this happening? Anyway.
Yeah, so they can't take their truck because like the fuel line's broken or something.
He just ran out of gas.
Yeah, well, yeah. Either way, they have to go on foot, and they come across like Van Wyck's crashed car, right?
Right.
And they're like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And then they see Van Wyck like come running at a distance, like
Covered in goop.
yeah, being like, "They're coming! They're coming!" The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming. And this is probably one of my like favorite parts of the movie, actually, because like this whole time we've only seen ass blasters, no graboids at all, and it's like they've barely been mentioned or anything. And so we get to the scene where they're like, "Oh my god, what? There's a graboid in the area! Like, get up on the rocks and everything, like normal." And eventually Van Wyck falls and he's like back on the ground. And they're like, "Oh my god, look out." And you see in this new movie when the graboids go through the dirt, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
Like dirt explosions like and like so we haven't seen a graboid at all, right?
Which is cool.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden this graboid in a fashion that we've never seen before in any of these movies comes like free-wheeling out of the ground. And and the kid's like, Van Wyck as the kid is like, "What?" But instead of free-willy jumping right over him, he like dips down and just lands right on his mouth and just eats him all in one giant thing. And the music is like, the music swells up there like, da-da. It's like the most epic thing ever. And I was like, this is glorious.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Can we
I
make
love this.
a video of that with the Free Willy music?
Yes, absolutely.
We totally should. It's like that same kind of scene. And I was like, oh shit. As far as like a reveal of what the new graboids look like and can do, it was pretty cool. And then you get like, so it comes down on him and then it kind of like corkscrews into the ground. So you kind of get a better idea too of like how they're moving through the ground, because in the previous movies, we've only seen like some first person images or just kind of like dirt flying around. So I liked that. It was kind of like, oh, this graboid kind of like twists through the ground.
I think it was the best part of the movie, but it was also in that moment. If you guys remember in for Tremors 2, I was talking about like we talked about how there was such a great lore, and we talked about how like there's monster rules, and I was upset that they changed the rules and they did all this.
Yep.
And in that moment, I was like, you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong because you can keep all the rules and all you get is that cool moment.
Yeah.
For following those rules. Like, oh, like they go to Africa. It's like that is the classic sequel to that is Fievel Goes West. Of like, like they go to exotic location.
Yeah.
Like let's do it. And it took the original creative team to completely abandon it, and then these other people to come in. And yes, that scene's awesome and it's cool. But just staying true to the original rules of the first one, that's as far as it gets you, is that shot.
Yeah.
And it is not an entire movie. And it was kind of like, yeah, that was awesome. Oh, fuck, there's 40 minutes left in this movie.
So, yeah, you're kind of like, oh, okay. And we should say, too, that, like, the tone of this movie is like way different than any of the other
Yeah.
ones. I feel like they've really turned this now into like kind of like more of an action franchise than it is like a
That's why, like
fun
the Jamie
community
Kennedy character is kind of like extreme sports
Yeah.
and like YouTube videos and quick cuts and
like Tyler said, there's awesome explosions
Yeah.
and there's these crazy graboid effects and all the graboids are CG. Everything's CG in
the
this.
CG has gotten better. It
looks
gets better every
pretty
time.
good.
Yeah,
It looks pretty good.
Another thing on the IMDb trivia section for David Paul John Joseph
Ringo Schmidt.
is that he is close personal friends with Michael Bay.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Which again, I also believe.
Yeah, now that explains some shots.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we finally get to see the freaking graboids.
Yes.
And they're insane.
Yes.
They're like super graboids now.
Yep.
And
So I don't remember at what point do we find out about the Africanization of graboids.
I think it's when there's a scene actually before the graboid attacks Van Wyck where we see the tentacles. And the tentacles are separate from
they've detached, basically.
the graboid. And Bert has his like great line where he's like, "Again, people do not give me the need to know information," which is like a thing he said.
That is a fun callback.
in one of the other movies. Yeah,
But I don't like the fact that they disconnect from the graboid.
It's a
'Cause
little weird.
They wouldn't be sentient. You know?
I don't like it either because it's a fun misdirect from the first movie. It's actually one of the most fun misdirects from the first movie, and then it's just kind of like, and it's a way of them just removing shriekers of being, and no, like these things.
It's like in the first movie they thought they were snakes, and now they are snakes basically.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes them way more mobile, though, which is kind of cool.
It gives them more shit to shoot, like, and it's like, if you're gonna have the scene where you're gonna model the tongue anyway, well, we already have that model, so blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think I would maybe could accept it if they maybe could shoot them out like darts, maybe,
Right.
but they didn't have like sentience.
And there's a lot, and I absolutely agree. Like they could have made it cool and believable, and I think that there was so much love and care put into the first four movies of knowing what came before and kind of building off that and doing something with it. And this movie it is really just checking the boxes of just yep, like shriekers, we mentioned them, but like they're not here.
Don't need to see them.
They're different.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the cradle of life, as it were, and so that's why they can.
And it's like, but like a shot of it shooting it out like a snake. Yeah, like that would have been awesome.
That would have been nice.
But no, it doesn't have to. They are there to serve the action set piece. It doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah,
what
and like
the creatures
later
do.
too, like not only do they have a mind of their own, they can also communicate with each other or like
Yeah.
form like a choreographed attack, which like I don't know. But yeah, this is one of those things too that like the creators of the original films and the fans have like come out and said like this is one of the things that we hate that they
Sure.
did in the fifth because that's ridiculous. They wouldn't be able to do that, I guess. So
Yeah.
I mean it's all ridiculous, but I guess just the tentacles unattaching is just like one step too far for a lot of people.
So this is like all revolving around a scene where Travis has been in the cave and realized that there's a shit ton of eggs in there, and that another thing that Steve Wilson in our interview said
Over and over said that they
was
never would do.
never gonna do. There's never gonna be a queen graboid.
Yep.
Never gonna be a queen graboid.
Yep.
And that graboid that does the free willy jump is
the queen graboid.
the queen bitch graboid. Yeah.
I do kind of like that they did call it the queen bitch if you have to have one because it kind of is funny and it goes with the whole ass blasters thing where they have these like ridiculous profane names. But yeah, it was kind of like, oh, that's the one thing that those guys really didn't want to do.
Is that when Jamie Kennedy's running out of the cave?
I think so. Yeah.
So I love this scene.
And they had like thrown a grenade.
And the reason I love this scene is that he throws a phosphorus grenade.
Right.
And we've talked about kind of how explosions and how they fake them. Part of it is there's the long Tremors tradition of explosions, of cutting to something and then cutting to a close up of somebody else and something falling on them. And like yep, they were right there. Like that's where the explosion happened. But this scene, when Jamie Kennedy throws his grenade and runs out of this cave, it cuts to an obvious stuntman who looks nothing like Jamie Kennedy.
Who's like much skinnier, probably.
Yeah. Leaping out of like full like almost like a diver, like graceful. And then like a quick cut of an explosion, and then Jamie Kennedy. Then it just cuts to him being like, blah, like falling.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I've made a gif of it. We will post it because it's my favorite thing of how bad this cut is. It is one of the worst cuts I've ever seen.
Oh my god,
Of a stunt person. And then also, there's a lot of Jamie Kennedy in this movie putting on a helmet and getting on his dirt bike so that a professional dirt bike person can ride the dirt bike.
Yep, stunt driver. So this is where they decide that like the reason that they're getting attacked by all these things is because they're trying to protect this nest.
Yeah, so that they introduced the concept that the queen bitch or that the graboids in general are trying to preserve their species, which we also have never seen before, really. I think previously the motivation of the graboids have just been that they want to kill anything.
Does that imply that they know that the ones in the previous graboids have been killed?
I mean, I guess you could read that, but I didn't really.
I don't know if they would care. That just seems like
I didn't think of it as like
alive.
a hive mind type thing where it's like, oh, we're the last of the graboids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then that's kind of like the concept is that they're trying to like save the eggs.
Well, right. I just meant like hive mind with the species in general, where it's like.
Is there any justification of why that they woke up now?
I don't think
Not in this
so.
one.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think they say anything.
Okay.
Just kind of happen.
Yeah. Africa.
Well, and like you said, the villagers already knew about them, so they've been there already.
Probably it's been 300 years.
They
or
just
whatever,
finally attacked some
right?
white people, so now they're like, oh shit, we better do something about
The
this.
eggs are supposed to gestate for 300 years.
Yeah.
So-
Right. Yeah, so they decide they got to get out of there, and they call the helicopter
Dan.
pilot. Yeah, call him back.
The old gristled helicopter guy.
And then he brings a friend that we meet for 2 seconds.
Yep. Before he's brutally murdered.
And the helicopter pilot's sad for about 2 seconds.
I still think he was more sad than almost any other character, though, that we've seen their sidekick or their colleague be killed.
Yeah.
He actually showed some sort of despair.
Yeah.
Momentarily.
Yeah.
Because then it is.
Well, but he wanted to survive.
Well, he
after
also
that.
gets attacked.
Yeah.
He does.
And he gets like totally eaten by one of
He does.
the graboids, and he's gone.
Yes.
And then they decide that they're gonna use the Travis is like, Bert, check this out. And there's rockets on the helicopter
Yeah.
for some reason. Why are there rockets on this
Because
helicopter?
this guy's a badass.
I
He's a
guess.
badass. You can't get guns into Africa, but this guy has military
He's
grade,
got fucking rockets.
multiple rocket launchers
Yeah.
on his
He's
commercial
got an
helicopter.
assault helicopter, basically. And
It's
they're-
called the Warhog.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so they decide they're going to shoot those rockets into the nest,
Destroy all the eggs.
which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was so
It's
funny.
incredibly dumb shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is one of those things, though, that I feel like in another movie, they would not have even done that because it's like too obvious. They would have been like, oh, no, we got to save one, or we got to, let's all move them, or let's do this or that.
Right.
This one, they're like, no, just take the cannon, blow them all up.
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
Bert is always like, you guys don't understand the threat these things are, so he
Right.
wants to kill them all
wants to-
as soon as possible,
He's
as
like,
fast
I
as
watched
possible.
them kill my entire town.
Yeah, basically. Multiple times.
Multiple
Yeah.
times. So the movie remembers that neither Bert nor Travis can fly a helicopter.
Yep.
And
So- Guess who's back? The helicopter pilot has survived.
yeah, he used Chris Redfield's grenade launcher from Resident Evil 5, also in Africa, which I feel like this movie borrows a lot from.
Yeah.
And blasts his way out of the graboid,
Yep.
and then flies the helicopter covered in goop.
He flies them back towards the compound.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which at this point, there's a whole B plot of what's happening in this compound.
Yeah, we've been like,
Oh, yeah.
we've been
like-
skipping past it.
Yeah, it's just like
So
I
back
don't know.
on the reserve, there was an ass blaster, and the doctor and her assistant guy killed it.
Right.
Right? And so then there was an egg floating around, and the little girl took the egg and didn't tell anybody.
Yep.
Right.
And then they continue to get attacked by more ass blasters there.
Right.
Including-
Because the ass blasters are just protecting the eggs.
Yeah, supposedly. And
All the rules are broken. Like, it doesn't matter.
But they don't know, the two adults don't know that the little girl has the eggs. They're like, God, why are these creatures like chasing us all over the place? But we get the mom. She's doing like kind of her best Jennifer Lawrence flaming arrows situation.
I was like, either that or Tomb Raider.
Yeah, it's very Laura Croft, but I have issue with this scene.
This is the straight up Jurassic Park scene.
There's the straight up Jurassic Park scene. Okay, well, let's talk about the straight up Jurassic Park scene first.
Okay, so yeah, the daughter and
So Amale and then Baruti, who's the guy that also works at the wildlife reserve and also has a big crush on Nandi.
they get chased into a kitchen.
An industrial kitchen.
Yeah.
Where everything's made out of stainless steel.
What? And the ass blaster busts through the door in like kind of a cool shot.
And then it's Claude Foot steps into the foreground while they're hiding.
It is literally
the exact
It
same
looks the
shot.
same exact raptor foot with the claw.
Yep.
It's like the ass blasters. I don't think they had crazy claws like
They
that
didn't.
before.
I don't really remember.
I mean,
they had
maybe.
some
These
sort
are-
of bird-like
these are-
claw.
yeah.
but-
Africanized.
That's true.
blasters.
But it literally is like the same scene where the claw comes down like.
Yeah, and then they get stuck behind like
I
a big
paused it and went
table.
back, and I'm like, "What the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, someone was just like, I want to make my own.
Why
Jurassic
would
Park.
you even want to do that?"
I don't know.
Yeah, they get pushed behind a big table that they're trying to like
Yeah.
push, just like in Jurassic Park, and it's just like,
And so they're like holding it back, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And then all of a sudden, like an arrow comes through, like right towards his neck, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And a couple more arrows, and then you see that Dr. Nandi is being a badass with a bow and arrow, and totally kills the ass blaster.
And then there's another ass blaster that gets trapped in the car. Is that a thing that happens?
Yeah.
Because the thing that I have a problem with is that she's doing this flaming bow and arrow thing that's awesome, and then I think they trap an ass blaster in a car, or they're running a car towards it. They set the car completely on fire, and they put a flaming rag in the gas tank. But the thing that ignites the car to blow it up is her shooting a flaming arrow into the already on fire gas tank.
Hey, that's more dramatic, man. What they going to show a scene of them just waiting for the fire to hit the gas tank? Any day now. I thought it burned faster. I don't know.
The car's completely on fire. There's a...
They're like, she's like, I did that. I made that happen.
Yeah, exactly,
I got it.
Exactly.
I got it.
so Dan, the helicopter man, takes them back, and this is when we get the big reveal about who is Jamie Kennedy and why was he there in the first place. So we've just learned all about the queen bitch graboid trying to protect the species line, and then Jamie Kennedy, Bert is just railing on him again and calling him stupid or whatever, and he kind of loses it, and he reveals to Bert that he knows that Bert went to a gun show in Tampa in the 70s.
Pensacola.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, and slept with a hippie girl, and
They went to a Grateful Dead show.
never saw her again, and that's his mom.
Yep.
That's right.
The whole movie, I mean, this was the most obvious plot twist I've ever
Yeah,
seen in my life.
Yeah.
He's
Jamie
calling
Kennedy
him Pops.
the entire movie.
And he's like, stop calling me that. And I'm like,
My favorite though was when, it was overly self-aware because Jamie Kennedy's just like, it's the Bloodlines. Do you feel a theme happening here?
Oh my god,
yeah.
it was the most titular.
Yeah.
We're like Justin and I would go see movies, and we see a lot of movies.
Yep.
And when there's a titular line, it doesn't matter how many people are between the rows. We go see movies with a lot of friends. We'll just lean forward and be like, "Did that just fucking happen?"
Did you hear that?
And I instinctively leaned forward when this happened in this movie because I was like, "Are you fucking kidding
I thought the
me?"
same thing. I was like,
Oh god! And they said it earlier too, because it's like they're just trying to protect the bloodlines.
Yeah.
Also, also this moment was like this reveal was really weird when I was watching it because they had just it comes right after this huge like we blew up the nest thing, and this whole time I knew he was. I had a strong feeling he was going to be his son or whatever, and I was like, Man, it's so weird that they waited till like the very end of this movie to
I
like
thought the movie was over.
I thought it was done
and then
too.
it kept going.
Yeah. I was like, why wouldn't they reveal this earlier? It seems like
it seemed like it would have been cool to reveal it earlier, so there'd be like more time for Bert to kind of grapple with that.
yeah,
and,
or it
like,
would be I felt like it would be a more fun dynamic between him like being like, now I know you're my son, and it would be a funny thing. And also, yeah, at that point I thought like, oh, this is the end of the movie. Like they're having this big emotional moment, and there's not gonna be any more.
But no, remember that B plot you didn't give a fuck about? Well, let's bring them back. And you remember how it was confusing? How it was the animal preserve and how they were tricked to going there? Well, all the people that tricked them are dead, so now everyone's friends, and let's go back to that same place.
Yep. And they still got to deal with the queen bitch.
There's only one egg left in Africa because they blew up all the other ones.
Yep.
And so the little girl has it, and then they realize finally, like, oh man, you had an egg this whole time? Why didn't you tell anybody?
They're like, bitch, what are you doing?
Yeah. And then somehow the little girl ends up standing in the middle of the fire pit area where they have their tribal dances.
It looks like
standing in a snake
It looks
pit.
like a rodeo or something.
Yeah, she's like standing right in the middle, and the tentacles from the queen bitch graboid are just like circling around her with like
Yeah.
choreographed movements.
They're hissing,
like
I think.
synchronized swimming, but synchronized slithering.
Yeah.
And then, important plot point from before, apparently in this region of Africa, there's the thunderstorm that happens every day at 1500 hours.
Oh yeah, this movie has like 6 things in the in the beginning of the movie where they're like, "Hey, this interesting thing happens here. Isn't that weird?" And then they never mention it again, and you're like,
So they finally like figure like, oh, maybe we should talk to some of these villagers. And then between the villagers and the worm thing from earlier, they all come up with the idea that they're going to electrocute the queen graboid.
Yeah.
With a big pole.
With the thunderstorm.
and they're going to
it
use
happens on the hour, every day, because you know Mother Nature.
yeah, they're going to use motorcycles to make it happen.
Get me Jamie Kennedy's stunt double.
Extreme sports. Yeah, so basically the plan is to like use Jamie Kennedy's motorbike skills to be really loud and steer the graboid.
We can't stress enough how washed up Jamie Kennedy looks in these movies.
He's wearing like a dumb ass like scarf the whole time.
Where like, there's no way that he's like in the beginning of the movie, like he's doing backflips and like tabletops and shit, and like there's no way that like he's like
It doesn't.
yeah
it's not-
like he'd be sore for a month
Yeah.
doing any of these things.
It doesn't match.
So anyway, so he hops up. He's the bait.
He's the bait, and he's gonna like so he basically leads the graboid into the center of the snake ring or whatever we're calling it.
It's a snake pit. There's a little, and so yeah, the little girl is in the snake pit this entire time. Like, and they're like, oh no, we can't risk shooting her. And so there's
Can we? Let's get this movie. Let's wrap this up, okay? Shoot her, take the egg, get this over with.
No, they can't shoot the girl because they all want to bone the mom.
That's right. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, Bert doesn't.
That's true, but Bert likes kids.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we saw him indiscriminately.
Except for Melvin.
We saw him indiscriminately murder earlier in the movie. Maybe he has the taste for blood.
That's true. Good point.
So basically, they succeed in getting the girl out and bringing the graboid in.
Yep.
And lightning strikes at just the right time.
As it does.
And it actually turns into this kind of cool scene where like you see the electricity go around and like into the ground, and then the graboid comes up and is like freaking out, and then it just explodes. Right? They don't even shoot it or anything.
It's just goopy. Yeah.
It explodes, and we get the quintessential showering of the guts.
Yeah, over everybody as they celebrate.
Yeah, on all the villagers.
Which is one of the things that is made consistent throughout the entire movie, and one of the things I very much enjoy.
Yeah.
I kind of liked the build up to this scene too. It was pretty cool, and like the execution of the CG and everything, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a triumphant moment for them.
I think it would have been.
Also,
It's one of the more creative ways we've seen a graboid get killed,
absolutely.
which I was like, wow, okay.
And the chant that they're all like excited about at the end is the same chant as from Congo.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't hear what they were saying. How's it go, Tyler? Do it and don't sound racist. Yeah.
I
But just in case
I
you were
pardoned
worried
myself.
that the movie wasn't going to be racist, the villagers then cook the graboid and eat it.
Yeah. Oh man, I thought that was crazy. I was like, we've
Yeah.
never seen anyone
Yeah.
eat a graboid.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah. Jamie Kennedy's like, nah, I'm not gonna eat what I just killed or something. What does he say?
He
Yeah,
ate
something like
worms.
that, yeah.
That's true. He did eat a worm.
And a snake earlier.
Yeah.
He
So
can eat what he likes. I had to eat this whole movie.
yeah.
I had to say, like, the ending was, like you said, it was decently cool. I think if they had just cut out the Jurassic Park earlier scenes with these three
Yeah.
characters at the nature preserve, it would have been a lot better. Like,
Totally.
the movie would have been shorter, and then, like, because you really don't care about them anymore from seeing those scenes.
To be clear, I like the nature preserve. Like I
Yeah.
like those scenes more.
And I thought those...
and
the-
like marry that plot more, and like that the betrayal. Like I didn't need any of that. Like if it was,
Yeah.
you
they
know
just,
what I mean.
They just don't develop those characters at the reserve very much.
And so like the movie has about 5 climaxes. Why it feels like it's so fucking long.
Yeah.
And it's just and it's just trying to like do cool shit. And I understand that, but it doesn't make an enjoyable movie to watch. But I agree that the ending that it ends on is the best ending that's in the movie.
Yeah. So it ends with Bert and Travis are gonna keep making his show,
That's right.
and it's gonna be the Bert and Travis show now.
That's right.
Where Travis is like the cool guy who does extreme
He's
shit.
like a ghost hunter.
and he tries to hit on 20-year-old girls.
Yeah, that
it
was
literally says that, and I was like,
that was,
like, because I sort of liked him up to that point. Like, he was an okay guy. Like, he didn't try to make out with the doctor towards the end. He kind of like lets the other guy, step up as like a father figure to the daughter and like her support.
I feel like this might be a good point to bring in the main thing that I didn't like from the behind the scenes things that I
love-
watched.
Yeah.
So I was not like really upset about Jamie Kennedy's performance throughout the whole movie. I was like, he's fine, whatever. He's like annoying like Grady, but like I didn't hate him. It was like, okay, whatever.
My eyes were rolling the entire time.
Yeah, fair enough. All the Gummer puns, I was like, stop it.
Yeah.
But in the outtakes, are basically like all him for the most part. And you see that he was improvising a lot of those lines, and the ones in the outtakes are like, not all of them, but almost all of them are like terrible, like Africa racist jokes.
No.
He makes I don't even want to repeat all of them, but there's like a joke before he goes to that like tribal dance thing where he asks Bert like, you have a bone for my nose to kind of like make me look
Oh
better?
my God.
And there's also a joke where he says something about they don't use condoms, right? And all these like really bad like and it's like 5 minutes of this, and I was like, what the fuck? Now I hate this guy. And I was like, that is so bad.
Yeah.
So terrible.
Yeah.
Like don't even watch him. It's bad. If you want to hate the movie, watch those outtakes.
I didn't even see those.
Well, good.
Yeah, I mean, I watch it on Netflix.
And I am not surprised.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
Man, that sucks because like I really had nothing against it.
Yeah, that just made me like just soured me on the whole thing. So I was like, okay. Oh, so they cut out. So he made tons of racist jokes, and they just were smart enough to cut them out, cut those takes out.
Good for you, Don Paul, man.
I guess, yeah. But that was upsetting. But there was one kind of cool thing on the behind the scenes. There was a whole cut sequence where Bert and Travis are driving each of these movies has like some sort of crazy vehicle.
The vehicle's cool.
Yeah.
It's like a weird
It's like a safari truck thing.
Safari dump truck.
Yeah. So they're like driving across this bridge, and the bridge, like the graboids is tacking this bridge in this river. And it starts to break, and like the truck jumps over, but Travis falls, and he falls, and like a beam from the bridge like sinks him all the way underwater. And there's this whole sequence where like the graboid tentacles are like coming at him in the water, and a graboid is like also coming after him, and then like Bert is trying to save him with like a winch on the truck, and you see him like getting pulled out of the water just as like the graboid is coming like up underneath him. And it seems like one of those things where it's like, oh, this is just too much underwater stuff for budget.
Yeah.
They shot him like falling into the water, but it was interesting because then we get to see, this would be the first time where we're seeing like graboids in the water.
Yeah. Doesn't Kevin Bacon say something in the very first Tremors like, can you swim, motherfucker or something, like to the graboid, like when he's yelling at it.
Oh yeah,
Something like that.
I think he does.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
But I just thought that was an interesting deleted scene.
No, I would like to see that.
Which was kind of cool. I mean, they shot a lot of stuff for it, but then just didn't finish all the effects. I think so.
Fluids are expensive.
So Nandi, the female character, she's not scantily clad. She's definitely dressed less than any of the other women we've seen in the Tremors movies, but like they are in the desert and she's at her home most of the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I guess I'll allow it. Like, you know.
And they give her tons of badass things to do.
Yes.
I loved that she had a bow and arrow.
She had flaming arrows.
Really cool.
She had guns that she could give Bert at the last second. And she clearly was in charge of the whole place. Like the male guy that works there is clearly subservient to her.
I would watch this entire movie if Michael Gross was not in it, and it was just it was just her and everyone at her compound.
No guns.
No guns, just dealing with it.
Yeah.
Like it's a veterinarian, like, and then she's like, and you know, she was like, I'm a man of science, and her grandpa was like, no, like these things, like they exist, and she's like, no, like no, they don't, and like I would watch that fucking movie.
Yeah, but I mean,
instead I watched this movie.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if Bert's down, I guess you got to bring him back.
Yeah,
for that audience.
So, child star check-in on Amale. She was played by Nolitha Zulu. And have we said this whole movie is filmed in South Africa?
Yeah.
Almost everybody is a South African local actor. The original script by the Stampede guys was meant to be Australia. Australia is too expensive, so they were like, okay, South Africa instead. Also sort of different climate than Nevada, I guess. And so this is a young girl from Cape Town in South Africa, and I was not really able to find any information about her because she's got her stuff locked up like a good former child star or current child star would. So this was only 3 years ago, so she's got to be like in late middle school or early high school at the most.
These child stars are tech savvy now.
Yeah. So she's got all of her. I did find her Facebook, but it's completely like locked up. You can't see anything, but it is her.
Shoot.
And then I found her Instagram, and the only information I was able to find is that she is still trusting that she is worth the most. She's a feminist, self-respected, strong black female, ambitious woman with great aspiration that would rather steal your snacks than steal your man.
I thought you were going to be like, the only thing I could find was that she went to Coachella in 2017.
This is all that I could find. And that apparently she still has headshots.
Nice. So hopefully she's still acting. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's cool. Well, to wrap things up, you guys, how many pee scenes would you give this movie out of 10? Tyler? Pee scenes. Pee shots.
2.
Ooh.
Wow.
Which is less than the actual amount of pee scenes in this movie.
Wow. Okay. All right. Eliz, what about you?
I'm going to say 4 pee scenes. And like I said, I saw this movie like without having seen any other Tremors movies. And I got to say, at that point, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is good. Like, I had no context, and it was just like a B-movie situation that I knew maybe was part of a franchise and monster movie. And I was like, oh, it's funny. It's cool. Cool. And so I think a lot of people were probably coming to it that way. And so without that context, it doesn't seem that bad to me. So
cool. Well, I actually gave this a 6.
Oh, shit.
6 pee scenes out of 10 because you know what? I actually kind of had a little bit of fun with this movie. I was kind of down for the change of pace. Like, it is very different than the other ones.
Yes.
The other ones, like they all advance the idea of graboids and everything along, but they all feel a little bit the same. Mm-hmm. And it was just fun to see like what a modern updated version would be. I know that's this movie, a lot of it is probably like heresy to the original fans, but after seeing all of those, I was just ready for something a little bit different.
It's like a sci-fi original type version. Like it's like a Sharknado.
And I thought that like, with the advances in CG and everything, they actually, went another step and tried to make some really exciting set pieces.
There was some fun set pieces
and some cool shots that I was just like, I don't know, kind of had fun with. I didn't like the Jurassic Park stuff that much, but I thought that was funny. But yeah, so I gave it a 6. I don't know, I enjoyed it.
There was also a direct line from Die Hard where he's like, "Come out to Africa, have a good time, like, have some laughs."
Yeah. So I think that's going to bring us to the end of Tremors 5 Bloodlines. Next up, we have Tremors A Cold Day in Hell. Well, have any of you guys... I'm assuming you guys haven't seen this because it's
No.
It's like brand new.
Yeah.
It's brand new 2018.
I think it's the same thing of like, again, I was wrong in episode 2 of the Tremors series here. It's again, exotic locale. Like, what if they were in ice? Like, let's see how these rules play out.
I was thinking, like, I love this video game, Destiny. Tyler and I played a ton, and they just came out with a new expansion where they introduced ice enemies, and I was like, are we gonna get ice Tremors?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to see.
graboids. I know, bro.
Like icebergs and like penguins and polar bears and maybe a Santa Claus tie-in. No, just kidding.
Yeah, includes Eskimos and ice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming. I
don't know though, because I think one thing, and none of the current characters know this because it was in the prequel, but the eggs were specifically hatched by warm water. So I don't know how they're gonna explain that away.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out next week when we talk about Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell. But in the meantime, Eliz, where can people get in touch with us?
Yeah, you can always email us, sequelrights@gmail.com, or reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @sequelrights.
Tyler, where can people give us their love?
Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher Premium or Overcast or everywhere that you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate hearing from you guys. And
yeah, tune in next week for the final Tremors film, Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell.